Have you ever felt like your body is quietly betraying you? You go to bed tired, hoping for the rest you've earned, but instead you spend the night walking that same worn path between bed and bathroom. The flow is weak, the urgency constant, and the frustration grows until you start to wonder if this is just what life after 60 has to be. Let me reassure you, it doesn't. That decline you've been told to accept isn't the end of the story. My name is Dr. Jonathan Prescott, and for over 3 decades, I've dedicated my work as a urologist to helping men all across America reclaim their strength, their confidence, and their nights of peaceful sleep. I've listened to the fears whispered in my office, the exhaustion in men's voices, and the quiet worry that these struggles will rob them of their dignity. And I'm here to tell you there is another way. Here's the paradox. While the medical world often pushes prescriptions and procedures, very few ever tell you that some of the most powerful healing comes not from a pill bottle, but from your kitchen. 5 everyday vegetables backed by science can help shrink the prostate and ease those nightly struggles. And today, I'm going to show you which ones can change not only your health but your future. But before we dive into that list, I need you to do something important. If this message speaks to you, I want you to subscribe to this channel right now and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss another practical tip designed to help men over 60 live stronger, longer, and with more confidence. And let's make this interactive. If you've ever felt these nightly frustrations, type 1 in the comments so I know you're not alone. If you haven't, type 0. I read every comment, and your words shape the future of these conversations. Now, here's one more step, and it's simple. Hit the like button. I say that not for vanity, but because it tells me and the YouTube algorithm that this information matters. And when you do, I want to send a blessing your way. May that small click be the start of calmer nights where you sleep through without interruption. May it bring you the steady confidence of knowing your body still has strength left to give. And may it remind you that you are not alone, that other men across America are standing with you, choosing health and vitality at any age. Gentlemen, every like is more than just support. It's a declaration that you believe in your own ability to heal and in the wisdom of taking charge of your health. So press it now and let's walk this journey together. Because before we get to those 5 vegetables, you need to understand what's really happening inside your body when the prostate grows larger, why it causes so many nightly struggles, and why food of all things may be the missing key you've overlooked for too long. Before we can talk about solutions, we have to understand the problem itself. The prostate is a small gland about the size of a walnut tucked just below the bladder. For most of a man's life, it does its job silently and without complaint. But as the decades pass, something nearly universal happens. The gland begins to grow. This condition is called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. The word benign means it isn't cancer. But let me be very clear, it can still disrupt your life in ways that feel every bit as serious. When the prostate enlarges, it begins to press against the urethra, the narrow tube that carries urine from the bladder out of the body. Imagine squeezing a garden hose. The water doesn't stop, but it slows to a weak, hesitant trickle. That's what many men experience: a weak flow, frequent urges, the constant feeling of never being quite finished. Over time, these symptoms pile up: sleepless nights, exhausted mornings, short tempers, even strain in marriages. I remember one of my patients, George Miller, 67 years old, a grandfather of 5. He sat across from me with tears in his eyes, not because of pain, but because he felt trapped. "Doctor," he said, "I'm up 6, sometimes 7 times a night. I feel like a prisoner in my own home." His wife sat beside him, her hand on his, looking just as weary. Their nights, their rest, even their intimacy had been stolen by something he didn't even know existed until it took control of his life. And George's story is not rare. It's the reality for millions of men across America. But here's where the light breaks through the dark. Just as certain foods can worsen prostate swelling, other foods can soothe it. Nature placed remarkable healing compounds in everyday vegetables, compounds that science has proven can calm inflammation, reduce swelling, and give men their nights back. Now I want to hear from you. If you're listening to this and thinking, yes, that's me, I've been living like George, I want you to type "that's me" in the comments. If you found your own ways of coping, share them too. You never know, your words might give another man the courage to start changing his life. Gentlemen, you are not powerless. Understanding the prostate is the first step. The next is discovering which foods fight back. And in just a moment, we'll talk about the first of these, the humble tomato. It might sit unnoticed in your kitchen, but inside its red flesh lies a compound with the power to protect your prostate and restore your confidence. When I first began practicing medicine, I never imagined that something as ordinary as a tomato could carry such weight in a man's health story. Yet decade after decade, I've seen evidence stack higher and higher. Inside this simple red fruit lies a powerful compound called lycopene. And lycopene, gentlemen, has a particular fondness for the very gland that troubles so many men after 60, the prostate. Science shows that lycopene not only reduces inflammation, but it actually concentrates inside the prostate tissue itself. Think of it as nature's targeted therapy. While prescription drugs scatter their effects across the whole body, often leaving behind fatigue or dizziness, lycopene goes straight to the source, protecting and calming a gland under pressure. I recall one patient in particular, Franklin Harris, 72 years old, a retired steelworker who found peace in his backyard garden. His pride and joy were the tomato vines that climbed across wooden stakes each summer. He would pluck them fresh, pop them into a salad, or slice them thick for sandwiches. When I explained that cooking tomatoes actually unlocks even more lycopene, making it easier for the body to absorb, his eyes widened. He began experimenting: homemade soups, slow-simmered pasta sauces, even roasting cherry tomatoes with olive oil. A few months later, Franklin returned to my office. "Doctor," he said, "I'm sleeping better than I have in years. I used to wake up 4, sometimes 5 times a night. Now it's once, maybe twice, and my wife, well, she's just as grateful as I am." That smile on his face told me more than any lab result ever could. Tomatoes remind us of something essential. Healing doesn't always come from complexity. Sometimes it's tucked into the warmth of a home-cooked meal, a recipe passed down from mother to son, or the aroma of a simmering pot on a Sunday afternoon. Now I want to invite you into the conversation. Tell me in the comments, how do you enjoy your tomatoes? Do you love them fresh from the garden, or do you prefer them cooked into rich sauces? Your answers may just give another man the inspiration to try. Because while tomatoes are powerful, they are not the only green soldiers standing ready for you. Next, we'll turn to a vegetable many men dismiss as bland or boring. But hidden in its florets is one of nature's strongest shields against prostate swelling: broccoli. For many men, broccoli has always carried a bad reputation, something their mothers forced onto the dinner plate, a bland side dish pushed around with a fork. But here's the truth: those green florets contain one of the most remarkable compounds nature has ever offered for prostate health. It's called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane acts like a quiet repairman inside your body. It reduces inflammation, neutralizes toxins, and helps calm the irritation that drives the prostate to grow larger. Think of it this way: while medications often suppress symptoms, sulforaphane works in harmony with your cells, gently encouraging balance to return. I remember one of my patients, Edward Collins, 71 years old, a retired truck driver. He laughed when I suggested broccoli. "Doc," he said, "I haven't touched that stuff since the 1980s. His nights were miserable, up 5 times, sometimes more. He felt chained to the bathroom and was skeptical that a vegetable could do anything different than the pills already lined up on his counter, but he was willing to try. His wife began preparing broccoli simply, roasted with olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. Within weeks, Edward noticed his nights growing quieter. He wasn't sprinting to the bathroom nearly as often. His flow was steadier. For the first time in years, he said, "I feel like my body is working with me, not against me." Broccoli may not have the glamour of exotic supplements or expensive procedures, but every bite delivers a message: calm down, heal, restore balance. It is proof that the simplest foods can carry the deepest impact. Now here's where I turn to you. Be honest, when was the last time you ate broccoli? Was it yesterday, last week, or not since childhood? Type your answer in the comments below. And if you're one of the men brave enough to say, "I hate broccoli," let me know that too. We might just share a few recipes here in this community to make it easier. Gentlemen, health doesn't always demand complexity. Sometimes it asks only for consistency and trust, and as powerful as broccoli is, it's not alone. Because there's another vegetable, bright, colorful, and often associated with good eyesight, that holds surprising gifts for your prostate and your energy. And once you hear how it works, you may never look at it the same way again. Carrots are one of those foods most of us remember from childhood. "Eat your carrots, they'll help you see in the dark," our mothers used to say. And while that's true, carrots are rich in compounds that protect the eyes. What many men don't realize is that they also hold a quiet power for the prostate. Carrots are loaded with carotenoids and antioxidants, molecules that act like shields against oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the body's version of rust on metal. Over time, cells exposed to damage grow weaker, tissues become inflamed, and swelling takes hold. For the prostate, that rusting means restless nights, weak flow, and the creeping discouragement that steals a man's vitality. One patient comes to mind: Samuel Turner, 73 years old, a retired banker who admitted with a chuckle, "Doctor, I can't remember the last time I ate a vegetable that wasn't fried in oil." His diet was heavy with bread, meat, and processed foods. When we talked about natural strategies, I suggested something simple: add carrots. Raw sticks with lunch, roasted with dinner, maybe even juiced with a bit of apple in the morning. He laughed, skeptical, but agreed to try. Months later, Samuel returned, and his story surprised even him. His nightly bathroom trips had eased, his energy felt steadier, and he said, "Doctor, I feel sharper. I thought foggy focus was just part of aging, but maybe it was my body begging for something it hadn't had in years." His wife chimed in, half joking but with a sparkle in her eye, "Carrots gave me back more than my husband's eyesight, they gave me back my husband." Gentlemen, that's the power of a humble carrot. Healing doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives as a crunch, a burst of orange color on your plate, and a steady flow of protection moving through your bloodstream. Now, let me ask you directly, how often do carrots appear on your plate? Once a week? Once a month? Or never at all? Write it in the comments. I want to see how many of you are already ahead of the game. And if you've got a favorite carrot recipe, roasted, glazed, or juiced, share it. Someone else might just try it tonight because of you. But as remarkable as carrots are, the story doesn't end here. Because next we move to a food most men think of only in the fall, and tossed aside after carving jack-o'-lanterns. Yet inside those seeds lies one of nature's most reliable allies for the prostate. When most men think of pumpkin seeds, they picture the mess left over after carving a jack-o'-lantern, something scooped out and tossed away. But in truth, these tiny seeds have been treasured for centuries, particularly across Europe, as a quiet but reliable remedy for men's prostate health. Inside each seed is a powerful plant compound called Beta-Sitosterol, a natural substance that helps relax the urinary tract, improve urine flow, and even reduce the size of an enlarged prostate over time. Unlike prescription pills, which can bring dizziness, weakness, or troubling side effects, pumpkin seeds work gently. They don't bully the body, they support it. A simple handful a day can begin to shift the balance from frustration to relief. One of my patients, Walter Jenkins, 65 years old, a Navy veteran, came to me weary of his options. "Doctor," he said, "I don't want to live the rest of my life depending on bottles of pills." His wife had read about pumpkin seeds, but he brushed it off until he heard it from me, so he tried just a handful each evening while he watched the game on TV. Nothing drastic, no big diet overhauls. Months later, Walter walked back into my office with a grin. "I sat through an entire ball game last week without needing to get up once," he said proudly. His nights were quieter, his flow stronger, and for the first time in years he felt like he wasn't chained to the bathroom. He told me, "Doctor, I feel like myself again." That's the beauty of pumpkin seeds: small, simple, familiar, but profoundly effective. They remind us that healing doesn't always demand a complicated plan. It can be as easy as adopting a snack that's been sitting on grocery shelves all along. Now I want to hear from you. Do you already eat pumpkin seeds? Maybe roasted and salted, or is this something new for you? Drop your answer in the comments. If you've got a favorite way of enjoying them, share that too. Someone in this community may take your tip and find relief because of it. But pumpkin seeds are only one piece of nature's pharmacy. There's another set of foods, bright and colorful, that carry antioxidants so strong they don't just protect your eyesight, they safeguard your prostate too. And once you understand how, you may never look at them the same way again. There's something deeply comforting about the smell of onions and garlic sizzling in a pan. For generations, these two foods have been the backbone of family kitchens, adding flavor to soups, stews, and roasts. Yet what most men never realize is that beyond taste, onions and garlic carry powerful healing compounds with a direct benefit for the prostate. Both are rich in organosulfur compounds, natural chemicals that fight inflammation and improve circulation. Picture them as firefighters rushing into a smoldering building, calming the irritation that fuels swelling and restoring balance where it's needed most. For a man battling the nightly frustration of an enlarged prostate, this quiet support can feel like a lifeline. One of my patients, Richard Barnes, 68 years old, a retired math teacher, admitted he had always avoided garlic. "Too strong a smell, doc," he said with a grin. But after years of broken sleep, he was desperate for something natural. His wife started small, adding roasted garlic to their dinners, simmering onions into hearty soups, even slipping a little raw garlic into salads. Over time, Richard noticed something remarkable. The urgency that once dragged him from bed 4 or 5 times a night eased. His flow grew steadier. His nights became quieter. When he returned to my office, he said with a smile, "Doctor, I didn't know something so simple could change so much." That's the beauty of onions and garlic. They don't just help the prostate, they support the whole man. They boost immunity, protect the heart, and bring depth to meals that turn eating into an experience. Every time you add them to a dish, you're not just feeding your body, you're nurturing resilience. Now, let me ask you, gentlemen, are you already cooking with onions and garlic daily? Or do you tend to shy away from them because of the smell? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you've got a favorite recipe that uses them, share it, because you may inspire another man in this community to give them a second chance. But even with all these remarkable foods, there's still something more. Because beyond what you eat lies a hidden truth, a preparation secret that can make these vegetables 2 or even 3 times more effective. And once you learn it, you'll never look at your meals the same way again. Gentlemen, one of my favorite parts of these sessions is hearing from you. I read the comments, every single one, and they remind me that behind every view is a real man, a real struggle, and often a real sense of humor. Tonight, I want to pause and answer a few of the questions and remarks you've left from previous episodes. Question 1 from Harold in Ohio, age 70. "Doctor, are you saying I can just eat tomatoes and skip my medication?" Great question, Harold. Let me be clear. No, food is not a replacement for prescribed medicine, but food can be powerful support. Think of it as building a stronger foundation under your house. You still need the walls and roof, but that foundation makes everything steadier. Always talk with your doctor before making changes, but know that what you eat absolutely matters. Question 2 from Daniel in Florida, age 66. I've hated broccoli since I was a kid. Do I really need to choke it down? Daniel, you're not alone. I hear this more often than you'd believe. The answer: preparation is everything. Roast it with olive oil, squeeze some lemon on top, or toss it with garlic. You may surprise yourself, and if you still can't stand it, spinach and kale also carry similar compounds. The goal is to nourish your body, not punish your taste buds. Question 3 from Mark in Texas, age 72. This all sounds too simple. Doc, isn't aging just aging? Mark, I respect that view. But here's the paradox. Aging is inevitable, decline is not. You can't stop the clock, but you can slow its hand. I've watched men in their 70s regain energy they thought was gone forever, not because of magic, but because they finally stopped ignoring the basics. Question 4 from an anonymous commenter. Doc, are you just trying to sell a salad? That gave me a good laugh. No, I'm not here to sell you lettuce. I'm here because too many men suffer in silence and nobody is telling them the truth about food. I don't get a commission from carrots or onions. My reward is knowing men are sleeping better, standing taller, and feeling proud of their health again. Gentlemen, keep the questions coming. Your voices shape this community, and if you've got doubts, throw them at me. I'd rather face a tough question than let you walk away confused. Next, I'll share a truth that even many doctors fail to mention. A preparation secret that unlocks the true power of these foods. After more than 3 decades in medicine, one lesson has stood out to me. Some of the most important truths about health rarely make it into the doctor's office. When men come to see me about prostate problems, they expect another prescription, another test, maybe even a talk about surgery. What they don't expect to hear is this: food itself can be medicine. Study after study has confirmed that certain vegetables, tomatoes, broccoli, pumpkin seeds, carrots, onions, garlic can calm inflammation, shrink the prostate, and restore balance. So why doesn't every man in America know this already? The honest answer is simple. Natural foods don't make money. Procedures and prescriptions are profitable. Vegetables are not. And that's why so many men live in the dark, struggling night after night, unaware that relief could be sitting in their kitchen. But there's another piece of this puzzle that almost everyone overlooks: preparation matters. Many of the most powerful compounds in these foods are fat-soluble. That means if you eat them plain, much of the benefit simply passes through your system unused. Pair them with healthy fats, though, and the difference is dramatic. Think of tomatoes simmered slowly in olive oil, broccoli drizzled with avocado oil after steaming, or carrots served alongside a handful of walnuts. Suddenly, the nutrients don't just touch your body, they sink in, fortify, and begin repairing the very tissue that's been troubling you. This is the small shift that turns a good habit into a great one. I remember a patient, George Miller, the grandfather I mentioned earlier, who was desperate for quiet nights. When I explained this preparation secret to him, his wife began making small adjustments. Olive oil with roasted vegetables, pumpkin seeds sprinkled over yogurt, garlic sautéed with chicken instead of boiled bland. Within weeks, George noticed deeper sleep and fewer nightly interruptions. He said, "Doctor, no one ever told me it could be this simple." Gentlemen, let me turn this back to you. How are you preparing your meals now? Do you usually eat vegetables plain, or do you add healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, or avocado? Type your answer in the comments. By sharing your approach, you might inspire another man to get more out of the very same foods. Because this isn't just about knowing which foods matter. It's about unlocking their full potential. And once you understand that, you'll never look at your dinner plate the same way again. In just a moment, we'll close our journey together. And I'll remind you of the simple, hopeful truth: you are not powerless. Your choices can change your nights, your days, and your life. Gentlemen, we've traveled a long road together tonight. From understanding what an enlarged prostate really is, to uncovering the power of tomatoes, broccoli, pumpkin seeds, carrots, onions, and garlic, and finally the preparation secret that unlocks their full strength. I hope you see now that relief doesn't have to come only from bottles, prescriptions, or procedures. Nature has placed extraordinary healing in ordinary foods, waiting for you to notice them. I've witnessed countless men take these steps. I've seen their worry lines soften as the nights grew quieter. I've watched their confidence return as their flow steadied and their energy rose. The lesson is clear: you are not powerless no matter your age. Each meal is an opportunity to tilt the odds in your favor. So here is my encouragement to you: begin with something simple tonight. Slice a tomato, roast some broccoli, snack on pumpkin seeds, crunch into a carrot, or flavor your meal with onions and garlic. Every small step builds momentum, and sometimes healing begins not with a dramatic leap, but with the simplest act repeated faithfully. Now, before we part, I want to ask you for something important. Press the like button. Do it not for me, but for yourself, and let that click be a declaration that you choose health over decline. May every like bring you nights of deeper rest, mornings of greater energy, and the quiet pride of knowing you're taking control of your future. If this message has spoken to you, share it with a friend, a brother, or a father who may be silently enduring the same struggle. You never know how far a simple act of sharing can reach or whose life it might change. And I want to hear from you. Type in the comments, which of these foods will you start with? Will it be tomatoes simmered in olive oil or pumpkin seeds while watching the game? Your words might be the spark that inspires another man. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. This is not just another channel, it's a community of men choosing strength, dignity, and vitality together. Gentlemen, I'll leave you with this: age may shape us, but it does not define us. With the right choices, we can live stronger, longer, and more confidently than we ever imagined. And I'm honored to walk this road with you.